set up the right circumstances for that and what you need to do, alongside with our usual narrated gameplay and funny moments. So sit back and enjoy as we attack Falmire. Number 1 is you need the game to go on a very long time. The best ones for this, in my opinion, are by far Darkforest and Falmire. Darkforest is very long, but Falmire in particular doesn't really have any gimme objectives that are easy for the attackers to finish quickly, except for this one. But if the attackers get off to a slow start in stage 1, you're going to be in for a very high kill game. And for number 2, you're going to want to have the right loadout. If you're going for kills, I would suggest using the Messer or Greatsword. Spears and halberds are great for takedowns as well. Really, what you want to be using is, surprise, surprise, a lot of meta weapons. For the maximum possible kills and takedowns, as much as I'd love to say, it comes down to preference and what you like using the most. You can definitely have outliers, but at the end of the day, just give yourself the best possible chance. Number 3 is you're going to want to have no downtime whatsoever. That can look 2 ways. One is that you're going full-blown berserker, you're going to pile the deaths, but you're going to take a lot of people going down with you. 2 is you can get back and heal, but get right back in the action. You're not being picky about too many fights. And this is how I'd recommend playing regardless, because it's more fun than being a KD farmer and just getting really bored looking for the perfect opportunity to get kills. The next thing I would say is, unfortunately, we're going to address the elephant in the room here. Objective for a lot of people is optional. If you're someone like me who's an absolute beast, monster at the game, and amazing, you're not going to want to be on the objective too much if you're on attack until the very end where you're going to push it hard. That's what you'll see me do for the most part in this one. And on defense, I would be going hard, defending it at all costs. If you're average, just starting out, maybe even above average, the objective is optional to you, but if you're having too much impact on the game, then reel it in for the game to go longer. And at the end of the day, what I've come to realize over time, the sad reality is, Reddit doesn't want you to know this, if I have 90 kills and only die about 15 times, I am having much more of an impact on the win than someone who isn't but is on the objective at all times dying. Bottom line, if I'm sending people to the respawn screen on the other team, they're not in the game, they're not helping. There's definitely a balance though. You should be playing for the win, because even if you personally don't care about the win, a lot of people do. So if you're trying to get combat in and personal stats, it doesn't hurt you to die a few times on the objective, just out of consideration for helping the team the best you can. All that being said though, if you're doing that most of the time, you can cut yourself some slack and play for your own personal glory, especially in a game like Falmire, Darkforest that goes on endlessly. Throw that out the window for any Tanoja map. Nobody likes those, just get them done. If you're attacking, don't even try, let it end immediately. And the last tip is you have to play really well. I'm sure you never would have guessed that, but you do have to play better than you usually do. Essentially what it boils down to is if you want to get your highest possible kills, you really do need a lot to go right to get, say, 100 kills, 100 bomb if you're not at that ability yet. But these kind of games are what make for a lot of fun, and in this one, I'm going to get 90 kills. I'll let you guys see how many takedowns. We kept the deaths to a minimum. I did have one more game than this with more kills, but I did play better in this with more takedowns and way less deaths. So why don't we get into it as we're wrapping up the first objective. We'll get some tips in and funny moments. Let's get into the actual gameplay. In my opinion, I actually had a 100 kill game because I killed a lot of archers, but on the scoreboard it'll only say 87. Killing them feels so good, it counts for 2. This guy disagrees and wants to defend the archer hard though. This is another way you can pick up some easy kills, even if it does feel a little cheap at times. If you have numbers near the bandage cart, just kill a bunch of people that are trying to heal and low on health. Now we're going to get some easy kills from people turning their back. I need you guys to remember that if you're new and this feels wrong, that's their fault. They're in a bad position. You're being rewarded for your good positioning, and they're being punished for their bad positioning. That is just as much a kill as any insane 1 versus 1 you're going to get into. Now, because I'm incredible at this game, really good, I'm have a huge impact on it, so I'm going to clear the way and have a clear shot at the cart. There's under 2 minutes left. I don't care about dying at this point. The priority is making the game go longer. I'm him. I get it almost completely open by myself, and we're on to objective number 2 as someone clears the rest out for him. Here's a mistake I made. So I mentioned no downtime. I should not be going to the next objective just yet, because I could have cleaned up a few more kills there and gone for the forward spawn. Even Tom Brady threw a few interceptions. Nice high IQ play here where I stab drag through 2 people. Not many people think of how to get 2 kills like that, but I'm thinking always a few steps ahead of the inferior opponents. We're getting some nice kills here from behind by sticking with the team. It may seem like the best way to get kills is to go where most of the enemies are, but if you have 5 teammates with you and 1 enemy, you can probably get at the very least a takedown from a kill there. Well, the theme of this video is trying to reach your personal best and milestones, 100 bombs, what have you. This helps your team as well and is always a good thing to do. Real quick shout out to Big Glob, who had an awesome game as well. I forgot he was in here. I try and help him, but lose my head in the process. I've always felt that stabbing weapons are best on these bridges or close quarter kind of things, just because it seems like maybe a war axe or giant executioner axe, things like that could be good to just cleave through a bunch of enemies. More than likely though, you're going to be hit stopping on your teammates and doing massive team damage, and no one likes that guy. There are a few people I know who like to change their weapon based on where they are and what the objective is. If you're trying to min-max to that level, that's something you can keep in mind. We're having all kinds of trouble trying to push up this left side. So at some point, we are going to have to push the right side if we want this game to keep going, because this is just not getting it done. I'm not really playing to my weapon strengths at all here, just slashing with no excels, no drags, nothing. Don't be predictable like this and be boring. It's just too easy to defend. For the first year or so of the game, there was a weird bug where console wouldn't have any kind of chase mechanic where if I'm running after someone, I can't catch up to them while they're running directly away. This guy finds out the hard way that that's no longer the case. Besides our friendly archer throwing javelins in the back of our head, trying to be the hero, everything is really coming easy at this point, and we're just piling up kills, and it doesn't really feel like it's coming that difficult. There were a few other level 1000s and high level players in the lobby. Top to bottom, it definitely wasn't the sweatiest, but it was interesting because I didn't think this would be the lobby that I would get my best game of all time in. If there's a player that's very aggressive and using a quick one-hander, I have a big skill issue with that. And this guy's giving me a lot of trouble with the falchion. Let's call a spade here. He's just flat out beating my ass. And he had me dead to rights. Thank God my teammates came to help me. There really is no crazy highlight reel plays just yet. Just solid positioning and taking advantage of good opportunities. Here's one of those cool movie moments. As I'm in trouble here, I'm going to get disarmed. And now, it's kind of like when Jon Snow loses Longclaw to build up drama. I'm using my worst weapon, but I am able to luckily come out on top here. But a very close one against a good player. Unfortunately for us personally, they did get that objective done very quickly. They still had about 4 minutes left, and we're going to skip ahead quite a bit because we didn't take a forward spawn, mopped up some kills from people backing up to the bridge. It really was painful to see that end so quickly. Despite having my best game, that objective and another later one really did fall too quickly. A little disappointing because the 100 kill game was very clearly in sight if they did go a little bit longer. So many enemies are being punished because we are just sticking with the team, and a longsword is really good for stabbing those people and just keep it moving after you get the kill. It's a very well-rounded weapon. It may not seem like it just because that stab is such a focus, but it opens you up for a lot of different scenarios to thrive in. Now you know I'm just feeling myself because I'm going to run behind all these enemies without a big slashing weapon. I just talked about how the longsword, I'm sticking with my team, stabbing, things like that. And we're going to break that rule completely, and this is just more evidence. This was a game where luck was on my side, everything feels like it's going right, and we're just continuing to pile up the kills. That's a nice triple kill there. No brainer here to decline VIP. I can accept it if I want the 100 kill game, but I don't consider that a truly earned one. If you're just sitting at the bridge farming an inferior team, that's just, who cares really at that point? I want to earn it myself, so I'm going to try and go out with the maximum kills I possibly can with what I felt would be a little bit of cheese doing that. Maybe not quite catapult level, but something similar. And I was in the zone regardless. I haven't really slowed down throughout this whole game. The VIP is playing it very cautious in my opinion, and is going to continue to do that. I think he could have been a little more aggressive here. Going to make some room for him, but you'll never guess what happens next. I feel like picking up the shield was the right call, but again, he's just hanging back a little too much. It was interesting to see that big glove piled up the numbers as well. I think he actually ended up with about 65 kills too. But he didn't get the VIP. I guess he didn't have a war horn. While I am talking about my personal stats too much, even though it is the theme of the video, it did help the case, but it did kind of feel bad for the rest of the team who weren't really doing that and trying to get the win, because he's costing us a lot of time here. Four minutes to go, and my personal bests are within reach. The game did go on very long. Let's see if we can get that done and pull out a W as well. None of this is meant as disrespect to the guy playing VIP. He's doing his best, but I am here to give you guys tips along the way, and he's making a lot of wrong decisions here, where now he's going to be rushing in, but then backing up once he sees the barricades. It is a lot of pressure to make the right decisions under this circumstance when the win is coming down to you mainly. But the way I see it is you have to either be really aggressive or let your team do the work. You can't really be half in, half out each moment. If you're going to go for that final push to the boat, you have to commit, because now he's getting pushed back, his teammates don't read it correctly, and we're starting to get him surrounded. After a sprint to try and help him get that last push, he's not going to make it. We do get a loss. This is one of the times I'm okay with it, though. My new personal best in takedowns, a lot of kills. So in this one, we played with our friends Joe Mama, Froggy Got Jokes, and the legend himself, NJ from CK. A lot of deaths in this one, but we piled up the kills. I believe another 80 or so. Enjoy. Choose best maps because it's really long, but it never really feels like it. Every objective is very fun, and it does seem pretty balanced in my opinion. Bonus points, by the way, for not having any catapults and only a few ballistas. The ending of this couldn't be any more close for the VIP. I won't spoil who won, so stay tuned. But it was pretty funny to see that it ended up that close, because I was a little worried going in. We were grouped up with 3 top players, John Wick's Pencil, NJH44, and last and certainly least, Joe Mama. And as much as I love playing with friends, it never really feels good when you're kind of stomping noobs together. And what I did before this update was some of us would often switch to defense to help out if we all ended up on attack. Despite what Reddit cries about, that hotfix really did fix things for the better. It seems a lot better now with the team stacking. There's always going to be team switchers until they just outright remove that, which they haven't for some reason. But as you saw in the thumbnail, I had 80 kills and 150 takedowns. It's the second most kills I've had with the Longsword, and possibly the most takedowns I've had. I don't really know. I don't really pay attention to takedowns enough. We did die a fair bit, but I think I've played better than this recently. And I do think the main reason my numbers were so crazy was because the game just was so long. There's a few other games that I've played better recently, but they didn't go the distance, for example, or just were too quick. Now, this was recorded a few days ago, but by the time this is up, Chivalry 2 will be free on Epic Games for a little bit, I think a few weeks, and it's also getting its first WXP weekend. So I'm a little worried about how games are going to go for the next week, or at least definitely the weekend. There's really no point in putting up videos of just killing new players. I remember the Steam release and then Xbox Game Pass, especially when it came on there, and then the PlayStation Plus release. There were so many new players that it made the game a little too easy. I don't think that would be good content if I'm looking at it through my eyes as if I was watching someone as a viewer. And I do think that it's just less fun in general for gameplay. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy some playoff hockey because I'm not sure if you guys knew, I'm a diehard New York Rangers fan. That passion comes before any silly story game. I've actually decided that if they don't win at all, I'm going to light myself on fire outside of Madison Square Garden. As much as I love this game, sports is more important to me. If you're a fan of any team, let me know in the comments or join my Discord. It'll be in the pinned comment. I really think we have the dumbest Discord of all time. It's not exactly the world's brightest minds in there, but it is fun. You'll laugh a lot and you'll have a lot of funny conversations. But now let's get into the gameplay. We're going to be using the Longsword on Knight. I have been running Vanguard a lot recently, but it's not my best class, as you guys probably know. I just have so many more hours in Knight. So when I go back to it, it really feels like a weight off my shoulders almost, that I can take all these hits and not die as much. Great work by NGH44 to come jump in and help me out when I'm in a lot of trouble. Much love to that dude. He's done a lot for the community to get these standalones going every night. And he had an even better game than me as well. You'll see at the end. I'm going to put all 4 of our stats up at the end because we really did carry this team and make the big difference that pushed them for a win. Now recently, something I've been trying to do to improve the quality of the videos for you guys is trim the fat a little bit. So for example, is during the walk over here, we killed a bunch of stragglers from behind, but there really wasn't anything I thought that was necessary to leave in. I'll still be showing every single death unless it's something like I was AFK, things like that, because I think you can probably learn more from my mistakes than things I actually do well. Let me know if I'm off base with this new editing style. I'm always open to constructive criticism. I just want to respect your guys' time and not really leave unnecessary moments in. Here I find myself in way too deep. I don't know what I was thinking, but at this point I'm realizing I'm at least going to take a few archers down with me. I've said this many times, but the overheads are very slept on the Longsword. The heavy overhead actually does more damage than the stabs, which is what you mostly want to be using, is those stabs. But I always found the overhead on this and the mess are a little weird and hard to counter. They can kind of look a little strange, and it's hard to hit them with the tip of your weapon while getting that counter off for especially players on console without holding block. It's just one of those things I think you guys should keep in mind. The stab really is your bread and butter, that is true. But the heavy overhead is very quick for a heavy attack. Involve both of those into your feints, and it really just devastates vanguards, as you see right there as well. Here I get a little bloodthirsty, which really just means a good way of saying greedy. I see someone bloody and it's going to make me get in way too out of position, and we're going to pay the price. This was a really cool fight. We're pretty evenly matched, it seems like, against this guy with the Vanguard battle axe. And it's really back and forth. We're each getting hits in. He's going to get me with an overhead after the kick, but teammates are going to come in on either side. That's what's so funny about this game, is those chaotic moments. Every time you think you got a one-on-one for an extended amount of time, it seems like that is what ends up happening. Nice bunch of kills here. We've been playing really well to this point, and for some reason I'm so delusional that I almost rage quit and got very angry. Luckily, they talked me out of this, and in addition to that, we almost lost this objective, but Joe Mama sacrificed herself on it about 9 times, she said she died, trying to get it so we can continue. I should have pushed more on it as well, but in the end it worked out. For the record, that is something I've talked about in the past, so if you're new to this channel, I do have somewhat of an anger problem. I do rage quit quite a bit. It's not a Chivalry 2 thing, it's just a life thing, and I do apologize for that. I do get a lot of flack in the comments sometimes from people who have seen it. I do think it's better to get off something that's frustrating you than force yourself to play, but at the same time I do understand why people want me to feel guilty about it, because it does feel bad. And I don't think it's necessarily always the most fair thing, especially because of how frequently I do it. I'm not trying to use the mental health excuse. It doesn't make it okay. Dying like I do here does make me laugh, but it's also oddly embarrassing at the same time. A pretty good fight here that I do think I misplayed to an extent. Something you want to do when fighting one-handers, guys, I haven't pointed this out in a little bit, is you want to crouch to stop your forward momentum. Right there I did it, but it's really a very important thing to do when you're fighting quick and fast weapons. The idea is you neutralize their reach, because every time you crouch, the swing or stab doesn't move you forward like it usually would. We don't do it enough here, but we use some good footwork. Even though missing a few overheads, he misses some as well, and we are able to come out on top. Very good fight there. I'm pretty happy because, again, I've worked on positioning recently, and it's good to see it paying off, as I'm not too far ahead trying to just push those levers for no reason, because if I did that, it would put maybe some pressure on them, but it would get me killed very quickly. And staying with the team and sending people to their spawn wave back as well really makes a bigger difference than if I'm just suicide running at those levers. There was a chance I can meet my personal best in kills or surpass it, which is 90, and we do come up short, but I declined VIP because I think it's very corny when people wait at the boat and don't really go in just to pad their stats. So I'm not going to do that. I decline it. NJH really did have a better game than me, but I'm a Warhorn merchant because I'll leave the stats at the end for you guys to see. But when you do, I want you to pay attention to how little he died, because relative to the game being so long, I don't think my deaths were that crazy. But the way he kept his so low really is something I'm aspiring to get better at. Very good work by him. All of us really did pull our weight the most. It was very fun to see this. This is going to come down to the very last moments. I want you guys to watch this, so I'll keep the commentary to a minimum for a bit. Awesome little killing spree here, fighting side by side with my friends, but you'll never guess what happens next. Now, while the game was going on and we were playing it, it felt like nobody was protecting him. But as I'm watching this back, it really does seem like it was more so the other team was just as focused. So he's at very low health. There's only 2 minutes to go. It's time for him to try and make a decision of what we're going to do here, because going back to heal is a great idea, but with how much they're pushing, I would have not known what to do. So let's see if he can get this done. So as we get the win, 100 bombs for everyone. Great game here. NJH only died 9 times. This is an insane Darkforest game where I got 85 kills, which was the most I had on YouTube for a while. And I do want to give the disclaimer, this is a little bit of a time capsule. The commentary isn't as good as it is today. It's pretty good right now because the Longsword's very good, but it's not like a weapon you would think of where you put up that kind of numbers. Like it's probably like B or A tier, I guess. People know this stuff better than I do. And I think there's a few reasons why I did so well with this. I've been playing Vanguard a ton lately, and while it's a great class, and I do like it a lot, I am much better on Knight because of how I play. I guess Knight is maybe considered slightly better, but for me, it's a big difference. Just because I've played Knight more. And the other thing is, again, I'm going to mention it again, Sergeant Willard told us in the Discord, again in the pinned comment, that the aim assist was turned on for console. So I was wondering why my game felt so off and I couldn't play like I normally could. Like, it just felt off and I couldn't put my finger on it. And once I turned aim assist off, then I went back to Knight now that I have my new Agatha armor that I was trying to showcase, which I think looks really cool. Yeah, it was a recipe to just go off and have a really good game. The lobby wasn't too good. Like, I think even in the beginning, for the first just the first 2 stages, once we capture the gatehouse, it fills up. It kind of lent itself for this to happen, so I was very favorable for that to happen. Like, it's not like I was in a standalone. It's kind of very early here. And yeah, so let's get into the gameplay. What I do here is never a good idea. I extend a little too far and I get killed from behind trying to get thirsty for that last kill. Now we're gonna, well, you'll see, we get killed by an archer in melee, but from there on we turn into an unstoppable killing machine. It's like how my friend Get Spiffy always uses the LeBron meme when he starts staring like a 1,000-yard stare. Now at this point we are taking that archer melee kill personally and we just dominate from here on out. Nice little triple kill, and there's a lot of space to work with just because I think it's after this objective is when the game completely fills out. Right, thank you, Footman. Always thank you, Footman. Right now, I think it's at like 22-21 or something. If I think I'd check in a minute. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I'm dead on 21-22. So, that's what I kind of like about these lower player count ones when it's just for a little bit, because you kind of get a little bit of a feel of like how to use your footwork and practice that a little bit when there's all that room to operate. The unfortunate thing is I did check out the 40 player queue that they have now, the mixed modes, and it seemed like it was a lot of newish players. Like, I didn't want to go in and just ruin everyone's time. Let me know if you guys have tried that mode in the comments and what it's like, because I didn't even finish the game because it was kind of too easy, and then I tried another time, same kind of thing. And I don't know what that's going to look like if it stays that way, that game mode. So just let me know your experience in there, because it is I think the change of pace would be good if it works out and is active with like decently high level players as well. Another good example of someone being covered in blood doesn't mean you extend yourself to kill them, because I get burned again, just like I did earlier. Nice little 2v1 here against two, from what I saw on the scoreboard, high level players. A little side note for you is that I actually tried turning on the music instead of having my own because I keep not hearing footsteps, and it actually kind of fits the game really well. I think they did a much better job than I think people give them credit for, because like, who wants to listen to in-game music and something like this when you could put on like your own? But when I was recording and wanted to hear footsteps and have a good game, it really did kind of help, and like, well, it made it a little less boring than if I had the music muted like I usually do for these games. Obviously, the longsword is a stab first weapon, but this is a good example of why the overheads are so good as well. They're quick, they look a little weird, and you can get around block pretty easily. And combined with that speed, it can be pretty devastating to someone that's playing like Footman or Vanguard. Maybe a knight, it's not going to do that same damage, but that's a good little example right there. This guy kind of snuck behind everyone and was just picking up fire from that back part and putting it up over and over. And I think he got like 2 or 3 of them. So I don't know how we didn't see him. I'm not even going to blame my teammates for not doing the objective because I had zero clue either. I would have liked to keep fighting this guy. It wasn't like a true one-on-one, but it was going pretty well. I think he was probably going to kill me in a good fight, but the rest of the team comes. I get the revive, and he kind of gets swept away a little bit. While I had a ton of kills regardless, they did let me get behind them a bunch there. I felt like that was kind of a thing these last two stages of the map, where like I was able to get some pretty easy flanks, and I normally wouldn't be able to. At least is the feeling I got. I actually had an interesting conversation with Rebellions in the Discord. He's level 1,000, very good player. We were talking about see how that guy backed away and ran. That's fine, I get it, but like if it's a one-on-one like that and you're losing, we were talking about how like it's kind of a bitch move to just run and leave. Like I'm not hating on that guy specifically, it just came to my mind while it happened, because it made me like remember it. It's kind of interesting because a lot of the times I feel like I know where I should be and what my positioning is, what the right call is, but I don't care because I do the fun thing. So I'm curious to see what you guys think about that kind of like situation. Like if you're starting to lose, do you run or do you just owe it to the guy to finish the fight? Now here, thankfully, I decline it because I felt like I was in such a like the zone that I wanted to see if I can get more kills and beat my personal best. I think, which is like 88 or 86. I'd have to go check the screenshot. It was from a while back, and I was on a really good pace at this point. So I didn't accept it because it, like, you know, you're playing for the win, obviously, and I can't do both at the same time if I'm playing as the Duke, whereas I can if I'm the heir, because or the not the Duke, because I could still be getting kills and helping out in the right areas. So that was kind of the idea there. I'd like to accept it if I'm on video, but I hope you guys forgive me this time. Here I did like a little bit of a double take after I walked up the stairs because I'm looking back and I think I walked by some guy on the ground. Yeah, sure enough I did. So I do that double take and then I'm like, oh, I guess he died or he's up. I was interested to see when I looked back because I felt pretty bad, but then we bandage up and move on with our day. Here it feels like quite a few times we take advantage of them pushing hard on the Duke to get that kill. Credit to them for doing that, and I'm kind of mopping up some free kills from behind a little bit. But they're doing exactly what they should. I was just right place, right time. And of course, we have a Deathless game. This one was on Christmas of last year. Every single one of you, always want to let you know that at the beginning of every video. So the Discord, if you want to join, will be pinned in the, or it will be in the pinned comment. It's a really good place to get into the community. Like I've been going on this rant a little bit at the beginning of games, or beginning of gameplay, because we have a lot of high-level players, some of the best ones in the game, but they're also the kind that are patient, and they will help you out. They've trained people one-on-one. It's just been a positive thing all around. But what I was gonna say next is that you guys have been suggesting more weapon variety, and that's what I'm gonna start doing. So every other video is gonna be like a new weapon until I've used almost all of them, and that'll kind of like make it fresh for me, because I used to be of the mindset that if I'm using weapons I hate, it won't be as fun for me, and then I won't be as positive in the videos, and it kind of will not be as fun for you guys if I'm being all negative and complaining. But it'll keep the game fresh for me as my new mindset. And yeah, so I think it'll be more fun for you guys to watch. But this one I did just now, and I'm too excited not to put this up because we went Deathless, as the title says. I'll let the results of the game play out for you. You'll see if we won or lost. But this is with the Longsword. I was going to put it up tomorrow because I put that Warhammer video up today. But like I said, I was just too excited to put this up. And the last one was on Lionspire as well. And in my opinion, this is one of the harder maps to go Deathless on, just because of all the siege equipment in the beginning. The last Deathless video was also Lionspire, I meant. But yeah, so I'm not going to fast forward or anything, because there is no deaths and walkbacks. And I also don't want to do it when there's a lull in the action or anything, because I want people to use this as a guide if they want to see what a Deathless run looks like, and where you should be, where you should stand, if that kind of stuff for positioning. Because, you know, I feel like there's probably a decent amount of these on YouTube, but of people going Deathless. But I kind of didn't play too selfishly. I was like, sometimes I do that when I haven't died. I'm just being honest. But this one I was always on the objective as much as I could be for the most part. And I think it was a pretty solid run. It's not like I put up a million kills in a sweaty lobby. I think it ended up being like 38 kills, 70 takedowns maybe. But keeping that 0 is always fun. So let's get into this. I'll stop ranting and raving for a little bit. Now this is important for going Deathless. If you're here, the catapult is automatic on that wall. There's no way they're going to get all the way down to the catapult and stop it. So what I do is stand a little far back or go to that left side so that I can stay alive, because also the ballista can hit you from the right side, so there's really no reason to go over there. Now and then you're avoiding the catapult over here as well, because it's going to be attacking the gate. Now this was interesting, if I remember correctly. No, that's actually a different falchion user. I'll be more on that in a second. But we're getting in some 1v1s here. This is one of those examples where I felt like I owed it to the guy to finish the fight, but he did kind of turn away and start fighting this guy. So I did heal and back up. There's a few moments like that. I thanked him also because he saved me a little bit. I think I could have maybe taken that default skin, but never know. But there was a few times, there's actually one coming up, where I was fighting 1 versus 1 and I kind of wanted to finish out the fight. Maybe it was this guy, actually a cavalry sword, we'll see. Because like, I know I've talked about this in another video, you want to have good positioning. I was talking to Rebellion's a really good player about this. He's also level 1000. But it's kind of soft if you're going to run away. Yeah, this is the guy. So he almost has me killed. I'm making a lot of mistakes here. So even though my team comes and helps me, I wasn't going to run away just because if he's going to kill me, he's going to kill me. You know? Like, why run away? That's a hollow thing if you're going to go Deathless while doing that. So we are able to get back up and get the kill, though. Now, I figured I would go to the left here because I see a lot of people and I could avoid the ballista, and that middle part, you'll probably die if you go through there just because there's a lot of fire pots. If you don't even get killed by that, it's just like a mess and it's hard to see what's going on. So I go kill this for my Chiv stats ranking on the Longsword so I can pad him a little bit. Now I run back a little bit. I'm going to fight that guy, but I don't want to get killed by an archer far away, or at least I thought there was an archer in real time, but I guess not. And this is textbook how you want to fight a spear. Get right in their face and like use diagonal like footwork. No one's getting this guy up. Okay, that guy was. And now we get into some fights on the side, trying to push up to the what is that, the town square. So I thought after those guys I was with up there were going to come with me, but apparently not. I look pretty dead here, but I get some Jon Snow level plot armor. I do some counters. I stay alive just enough seconds so that my team comes and we get back up. Like, that was very lucky because I think there's like 4 or 5 people on me, but they came just in the nick of time before I start getting overwhelmed, and I was able to hold them off for a second there. So this is kind of what I was talking about, is that I stayed on the objective the whole time. It's not like I was hiding or anything. So I'm just on the edge where I'm holding it, the objective, but I'm not like outside of it. Like I'm on the edge of it so I could support the team and heal if need be and back out like I do here. And then I could move back into it as they come. So that was kind of the idea there, and it worked to great effect. And now we're holding the town square, so it's almost onto the bridge. I actually think the longsword might be the best weapon for these bridge objectives. Well, but yeah, maybe a spear, but when you're stabbing and moving in and out of combat and like picking off the people that go too far forward, it seems like the best way to fight on the bridge. So for those of you that talk about switching classes or weapons based on where the what stage of the map it's on, I'd be curious to hear what you think about that, because a lot of people have been saying that. And here I'm trying to hit that thing all the way over there. I forget if I even hit it. Yeah, we did, but we didn't kill anyone. Unreal. Just my luck. But yeah, so I think instead of using like an executioner's axe or a great sword or a highland sword or something and swinging through crowds but also hitting all your teammates, I think this is kind of the best way to play a bridge objective. Now, with some help, we're able to beat that guy. That's the third example of where he kind of had the upper hand for a little bit, but I felt like I, again, owed it to him to finish the fight, because why run away? That's soft. So now with the banners destroyed, and now honestly our team is starting to roll them a little bit. Kills are a little more lopsided than it probably is though, just because I have 0 and I kind of have like a 20 difference on my own. But our team after the town square was starting to take control a little bit, and now we're starting to roll them a little bit. Before that it wasn't too bad, but they start to get overwhelmed here, and we start banging these out pretty quickly. This is everything I try not to be as a player. I'm doing just endless team damage trying to kill one guy. That's not me. I apologize. Don't do what I did there. Please don't do that. Now, in case you didn't know, if you die on the explosives when you've planted them, I think even if you're on defense, that doesn't count as a death, which you'll see at the end of the game when I let the stats play. I've said this before, I sound like a broken record, but the game is rewarding you for being on the objective. So you respawn with still, like, even if you've died, like that one doesn't count for your stats. So that's pretty nice if you're obsessed with your numbers like me. And now it's getting fairly obvious we're going to get it, because if you look at the kills right there, we're out killing them by, I think, like 250 at this point. Yeah, so after the town square, it honestly felt like they fell apart. I don't know if they had people leave. I'm kind of spoiling it, but I think it's pretty obvious we won at this point. And that'll complete the Deathless run. Yeah, so I'll let this play out.
This isn't the highest kill game here, but I think it's the best I've played from beginning to end of a game, at least out of the ones on YouTube.
I honestly think this was the most in the zone I've ever been for an entire game. It was crazy. I'd really like for you guys to see how devastating the longsword can be when you are in that zone. It almost feels like you activated an ultra or special ability in a different kind of game, because sometimes you'll just get really streaky and get a lot of kills very quickly, but it really did feel like that was what was going on this whole time. And the longsword is a weapon I would consider A tier. I don't think it's as good as weapons like the greatsword or messer that I also run a lot. There's plenty of weapons better than it, but it's definitely a competitive option. And the consensus, I think, is pretty accurate that it has a very low skill floor. If you're spamming slashes, it's going to be a terrible weapon. But if you're really mixing up your attacks using stabs and heavy overheads, things like that do a lot more damage with it, it really does have a high skill ceiling where it'll reward smart and good play. And a lot of those target switching and look-offs you do, really just, it feels great with this weapon. Strida is legitimately one of the best longsword players. It's not just about him having a platform, it's also about his in-game ability. And he does this stuff in first person. I don't know how. He considers it the best weapon in the game, which I think is a little crazy. But it's definitely a weapon that rewards those target switching and look-offs that you'll see him do. I'll come up with a few examples of it during the gameplay. I've really kind of added that to my repertoire, as also I've been doing a lot more kicks. Stepbo said even at the highest level, and I am name dropping him a lot by the way, but he's one of the people training me, that even at the highest level, people do fall for those. And if I notice a player is holding block while I've been in their lobby, I'll do it all the time now, especially after a jab. Just because in a public lobby, it really does kind of punish a lot of bad players. Good player, it's really not going to work on, although jab to kick, it does work pretty well. But it's something I'm kind of adding to pad my stats a little bit. The 100 kill game is going to happen pretty soon. I've just been really improving as a player. And like I said, this was going to be close. I'll leave you guys to see how close we get and how this game ends up. But let's get into the gameplay, where we're letting this go on a while. I'm in way too deep, by the way. Lately, the objective isn't something I've been stressing as much. I find it really rewarding to do, and I think it's a lot more fun. But as I've been grouping up with viewers and a lot of friends and parties, it really can just be too easy to win, quite honestly. Especially now that the game is more balanced and it keeps your party together and it's less auto balance for us. It really does feel awful to end maps like Linespire or Rudhelm too early. And they did a really great job where the levels are kind of evened out on each side. I don't know if there's an invisible MMR or it's by level, but either way, it's been pretty even, I've said recently. I'm not going to switch to defense anymore to help a team out, because I'm finding that every time I do that, it becomes a little too easy to win on there. Again, I'm not trying to talk about how great I am, but it's just kind of comes from a lot of playtime. I'm pretty experienced at this point. This is a little bit of what I'm talking about as you see these fights unfold. I'm doing a really good job using my footwork to get the stabs in behind their block and drag it into them. It's just such a good weapon for that, but that guy does come out on top for the 1 versus 1. Great work by him. And like I said, we came close, so we're on absolute fire already. We're not really having much trouble. We have piled up some deaths, but I'm also being reckless. I've been trying to work on positioning, as you guys know, but right now it's all about the kills. I'm just getting a little too full myself and get way too deep in there. That guy's gonna punish me. He clearly knew what he was doing. So I need to get the objective done at this point, and there's only a minute left, and I get in there pretty easily. This is kind of what you need to get a high kill game, is a lot of bad players. They just let me get right behind them, but you'll never guess what happens next. I've been playing a little bit of more Vanguard recently, and it's kind of making me realize I should be using more feints. It does kind of get me in trouble with Knight a little bit, but I do think it's something I can add, just even with this class. Less stamina does become a problem. I should be monitoring it more. A little bit of a death streak now. This happens sometimes, even in these high kill games. It is a little regrettable because I could have got even more and even closer. It is what it is, though. I felt like I was pressing a little bit at this point when I had a great stage at the first point. By the way, I've talked about this before. I can be talking about my numbers a little too much and my stats in games, but after you've played this game a lot, you really do kind of race yourself a little bit, see if you can put up those really big games. And lately I've kind of returned to talking about it slightly. It's something I was trying to stop doing for a while, and I probably should tone it down a little bit, but it really is about trying to improve and get those, I would say, numbers up, just so I see a reflection of the skill increase I'm getting. So good work here for my team to get that done, continue the game. They didn't have a lot of killing power. That was all kind of my job, really. I was doing the objective and fighting near it when I had to, but this team really was lacking in the kill department, and it does kind of cost us later, as you'll see. We just love dumb archers. This guy's not even going to hear me get behind him. I absolutely hate those guys, and a nice free kill. Good flank here, though, and we help the team keep moving by getting those and stabbing from behind. I've been trying to use more special attacks when people are leaving their back open like that. It's just the longsword specifically, I do miss a lot with them. Not sure why that is. It's a pretty cursed attack for me. I really do get too cocky and fight on the front lines too much, and I'm noticing as I work on my positioning, you do get a lot of free kills from smarter play and getting those flanks in as well. This is really just such a consistent thing you can do in these lobbies, is jab to kick. And what's really great is if they don't hold block after the jab, which most players are going to, you kind of can recover before that kick doesn't work. You're on the brink of death. I'm not stressing it and still just winning these 1vx's. Here I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die, but I am able to get up and get some really clutch teammates. This is what it looks like to be in the zone with the longsword. It really just can be a devastating weapon. It reminds me of, like, you know when Jon Snow was in that battle and they had the tracking shot and he's just killing everyone and going berserk on the Boltons. That's why I love this weapon, is it just feels so good to use and natural. I don't really think any weapon can quite hit like this and give you that action movie feel. I just got the kill streak godlike, and that's really the second highest, I believe. I think Wicked Sick may be higher for kill streaks, but usually you'll get that in a game where you don't die at all. It just goes to show that I was just locked in for this one. I don't really know what that was about, and it kind of came out of nowhere. Now, unfortunately, our teammate is doing his best to help. No worries on this one, but the 35 kill streak does come to an end. Some quick deaths in a row here. We're starting to notice the timer is ticking down. We really do want to get on those cages at this point, and it's costing us a little in the death department. That's kind of what you got to do to win these games, and also extend them if you're trying to go for that 100 kill game, as I said. Death is going to be assured at this point. What I'm really trying to do and what worked well is kind of distract them because they're all going to go after me. They're not really as focused on the cage as they should be, and a lot of them, I pulled 3 directly towards me. Again, no disrespect to this team, it was a lot of lower levels. I'm kind of bringing it on myself to get a lot of this done, and now we're going to open that last cage on our own. We had a lot of teammates around, but we had the hits to get on it. I was really trying to press for kills at this point because I did think that enough people on the other team are not going to the spawn wave. That's kind of what makes high kill players so valuable, even if they're not on the objective. So that was really the responsibility in my head I was kind of taking on to keep this game going on attack. Skipping a little bit ahead here because we didn't take the forward spawn, it was a bit of a walk. A problem that I'm running into in my head right now is because I'm talking about a lot of the kill power not being there, the bridge is one, even if they're on the objective, which this team was doing their best, like I said, don't get me wrong, we really need to be out killing them to get this capture, to my understanding. I started to press a little bit here as well. I'm going to be honest, I choked a little bit when I started noticing that my kills were high, and the team really needed me to go to work here to try and get this done. I was thinking about switching to the Messer, and I don't regret that. Just because the Longsword got me this far, I figured that's what I should stay with. I'm doing all I can at this point. I got us down early by not getting enough of those kills to clear the bridge, but time is ticking at this point because I'm noticing our progress is going a little too slow. And if I'm going to be dying like this and respawning, it's really just costing us like 20 seconds. And again, I really sound like a broken record. This team had a lot of low levels. It's not their fault whatsoever. Until the middle part of this bridge stage, I would honestly consider that the best stretch of gameplay I've ever had. I just never felt as in the zone as this. Even in like the 90 kill game, I piled up the deaths. We really were very close to that 100 kill game. If we managed to get past this, I do think it would have been nearly assured just because we would have a lot of time on the crank stage of the gate. I'd probably decline the VIP. Really unfortunate they couldn't get it done, but that is mostly on me, guys, because I think I didn't do my part. Started pressing a little too much. The team did all they could, as I said. 116 takedowns and 61 kills is great for a full-length game, but it is what it is. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.